Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking one of the absolutely most critical legal frameworks out there, the BNSS arrest provisions. We're going to dive deep into that fascinating, sometimes tense tug of war between state power and your personal liberty. Look, whether you're a law student prepping for the judiciary, a police aspirant, or honestly just an informed citizen wanting to know your rights, this explainer is completely designed for you. So let's just jump right in.
Now, arrest is arguably one of the strongest powers granted to law enforcement, right? It literally represents the immense power of the state. But here's the golden rule, and really the core of our entire discussion today. Arrest is not punishment. You are entirely innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So what rights does the law actually give you to protect that innocence? How do we prevent this massive state power from being misused? Well, that's exactly what we're going to map out today.
Okay, so here is our roadmap. We've broken this down into 6 clear chapters. 1. Power versus personal liberty. 2. When can police arrest? 3. Rules for handcuffs and force. 4. Your rights after arrest. 5. Production before a magistrate. And finally, 6. The complete arrest flow.
All right, starting with Chapter 1, Power versus Personal Liberty, and the constitutional basis for all of this.
You know, everything in the BNSS arrest framework flows directly from the Constitution of India, specifically Articles 21 and 22. Think of Article 21 as your foundational shield. It guarantees that no person shall be deprived of their life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. And Article 22? Well, that acts as your personal bodyguard against arbitrary random arrests. It guarantees crucial things like your right to know exactly why you're being arrested and the right to consult a lawyer. Honestly, without these 2 constitutional pillars, the BNSS rules just wouldn't exist.
Moving right along to Section 2. When can the police arrest? Let's look at the BNSS Section 35 triggers.
So, Section 35 of the BNSS lays out the specific triggers because, well, police don't always need a warrant. If someone is involved in a cognizable offense, which generally means a pretty serious crime, the police can arrest them directly. They can also arrest proclaimed offenders, anyone found with suspected stolen property, or someone who's actively obstructing a police officer from doing their duty. There are a few other triggers too, like escaping lawful custody. It's a broad list for sure, but it gives law enforcement the agility they need to stop crime in its tracks.
But wait a minute, what happens when things go sideways? What if the police arrest someone just because an FIR has been filed without doing any real investigation first? What if an arrest is just completely mechanical? Like, if you cooperate completely, can they still just throw you in a cell? It's kind of a terrifying scenario to think about, isn't it? Thankfully, the Supreme Court has stepped in to stop exactly this from happening.
The Supreme Court made this really fascinating distinction. A lawful arrest can still be an unnecessary arrest. This comes from the landmark Joginder Kumar case of 1994. The court basically said, look, just because the police have the power to arrest doesn't mean they have the justification to actually do it. They have to prove it's necessary. Fast forward to the Arnish Kumar case in 2014, and the court laid down incredibly strict rules against automatic, mechanical arrests, especially for offenses carrying a punishment of up to 7 years. If an arrest isn't strictly necessary, police are instead supposed to issue a notice of appearance. It's a brilliant way to perfectly balance the need for an investigation with your personal liberty.
Okay, let's jump to Section 3, Rules for Handcuffs and Force. These are the rules of restraint.
We really have to contrast 2 very different realities here. On one side, we have the nightmare scenario, the abuse of power. Think of male officers arresting a woman in the middle of the night without justification, or worse, custodial violence. But on the flip side, we have robust constitutional shields. To protect women, the law explicitly requires female officers to make the arrest whenever possible, absolutely demands respect for their dignity, and strictly limits nighttime arrests to highly exceptional circumstances. We also have the Sheila Barsi case, which recognized the special vulnerability of women in custody. And for custodial violence, the Sunil Bachcha case confirmed that even prisoners and detainees retain their fundamental rights. You do not lose your human dignity just because you're in custody.
And that brings us to handcuffs. Now, you might think handcuffs are standard procedure. Actually, scratch that. They are the absolute exception, not the rule. They are strictly for emergency use only. The landmark Prem Shankar Shukla case made it crystal clear that routine handcuffing violates human dignity. The BNSS only permits handcuffs in very specific, severe situations. We're talking habitual offenders, high escape risks, organized crime, or extremely serious offenses. Handcuffs require solid legal justification. They cannot just be used because it's convenient for the escorting officers.
Let's move to Section 4, Your Rights After Arrest. These are your immediate protections.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that an arrest cannot be a secret. Thanks to the monumental DK Basu case, we have a mandatory checklist governing every single police station in the country. First, under Article 22(1, you have the absolute right to know the grounds of your arrest immediately. Police can't just say, hey, come with us. Second, they must inform a friend or relative about your location to prevent illegal disappearances. You also have the right to access a lawyer, a principle totally strengthened by the Katri case, which states that legal aid must begin at the earliest possible stage, not just when a trial starts. Finally, the guidelines mandate proper medical exams and strict record-keeping to ensure total transparency. It's the whole shebang.
And right here is your ultimate defense during an interrogation. Article 23 of the Constitution guarantees that no person can be compelled to be a witness against himself. Arrest does not destroy your constitutional rights. In the famous Nandini Sapati case, the Supreme Court rigorously protected the right to silence. If the police try to force a confession out of you, it is a direct and severe constitutional violation. You hold the shield here.
All right, on to Section 5, production before a magistrate and the very famous 24-hour rule.
The clock starts ticking the very second an arrest is made. Under Article 22(2) of the Constitution, an arrested person absolutely must be produced before a magistrate within 24 hours, excluding travel time, of course. This is a strict, non-negotiable limit on police custody. The police cannot just lock you up for days and throw away the key. No way. Within one single day, a judicial officer, a magistrate, must look at the case, look at you, and decide if the police actually have a valid reason to keep you in custody.
But, the protections don't just stop at the magistrate's desk. Once you're in the system, an arrest cannot morph into indefinite detention. The Hussainara Khatun case clearly established that a speedy trial is a fundamental right woven directly into Article 21. People cannot be left languishing in jail for years as under-trials. For it to be fair, justice absolutely must be speedy.
And finally, Section 6, the complete arrest flow. Let's look at this step by step.
Let's walk through the first half of this arrest roadmap together. Step 1. A complaint is filed. Step 2. The police assess the necessity. Remember the Arnesh Kumar case we talked about? They have to check if they really need to arrest or if a notice of appearance will do the job. Step 3. If an arrest is actually necessary, it's initiated under Sections 35 and 36, meticulously following all the physical force rules and protections for women. Step 4. The very moment the arrest happens, those DK Basu guidelines kick in. The grounds for arrest are communicated immediately, and a relative is informed, so your whereabouts are known to the outside world.
And here's how the journey concludes at the courthouse doors. Once you're at the station, lawyer access is granted. If required, a medical examination is conducted to log any pre-existing injuries and protect against custodial violence. All of this is logged in designated police records for complete transparency. And then, the ultimate safeguard, production before a magistrate within 24 hours. The police hand over control to the judiciary, ensuring that the state's power is constantly held in check by the law. It's a really powerful system when it works correctly.
For all the students, law aspirants, and informed citizens watching us today, you really need to remember these constitutional pillars. Arnesh Kumar means no automatic arrests. DK Basu gives us the mandatory arrest safeguards and station transparency, and Nandini Satpathy is your constitutional right to silence and protection against self-incrimination. Just lock these in. These cases are your ultimate constitutional shields.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. The true purpose of arrest law isn't just to give police the power to catch criminals. Its larger, much more profound purpose is to perfectly balance the immense power of the state with the fragile liberty of the individual. Every single safeguard we discussed today exists because history has shown us exactly how easily unchecked power can be abused. But I want to leave you with this one question to think about. Is our liberty truly safe if we, the citizens, don't actually know the laws that protect it? Understanding these provisions is literally the first step in defending your rights. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.